Military history often focuses on aircraft and advanced weaponry, but a modern force is paralyzed without a functional radio signal. For Timothy D. Geisler, the mission was a career-long struggle against the vacuum of failed connectivity, preventing the silence that turns a coordinated strike into a chaotic retreat. Performance records show that Geisler succeeded through a level of technical creativity his superiors called superb. He was a technician who consistently generated new, workable ideas to solve problems that stopped others in their tracks. Reliability in the field requires extreme adaptability to overcome both the friction of a difficult environment and the rigid constraints of military bureaucracy. Geisler's trajectory illustrates what is actually required to keep the military's invisible backbone intact when disaster strikes. At domestic hubs like Cannon and McConnell Air Force bases, the challenge is maintaining the high-tempo communications required for routine aircraft operations. Many of these bases relied on legacy infrastructure, systems that were increasingly difficult to maintain and costly to replace. When base emergency PA equipment became obsolete, Geisler ignored the standard upgrade path. He used a low-cost desktop computer to digitize the system, bypassing expensive proprietary hardware and saving the Air Force $23,000. Financial pressure escalated when a command-wide mandate required a migration to new narrow-band radio standards, an overhaul with a massive price tag. Geisler managed this by converting specific radio requirements to cellular services, meeting the new standards while reducing overall costs by $6.5 million. At this scale, technical innovation requires an airman to act as both an engineer and a financial strategist to keep base systems evolving. Moving from a domestic base to an expeditionary field removes the safety net of established infrastructure, placing the entire burden of mission connectivity on the technician's equipment. During Operation Provide Comfort, Geisler maintained 99% reliability for 21 tactical satellite assets, a level of performance that ensured command could maintain control over 65 aircraft in a high-pressure environment. In 1996, while deployed to Ecuador, the challenge wasn't technical failure, but a complete lack of manpower for non-technical infrastructure. Geisler stepped away from radios to haul concrete, mix mortar, and prime steelwork, keeping the mission on schedule. This effort led to rare recognition, an Air Force Staff Sergeant receiving an Army Achievement Medal for the joint mission's success. In the field, a communications expert must prioritize the overall success of the mission over the narrow boundaries of their specific job title. The most difficult test for any network is the total collapse of commercial infrastructure during a natural disaster. After a massive tornado struck Hoisington, Kansas in 2001, Geisler had to establish a lifeline for a community where telephone and power lines no longer existed. He bypassed paralyzed commercial grids, utilizing amateur radio networks, coordinating communication for the American Red Cross across 4 locations. Beyond radio links, Geisler built a database tracking over 600 families, ensuring relief teams could coordinate recovery across the disaster zone. In the aftermath of 9/11, this same adaptability was required to manage communication needs at the multi-agency World Trade Center disaster site. Geisler supported the NY National Guard by identifying sound coverage requirements and implementing a public address solution for the site, providing critical information flow to the response teams. These scenarios show how a technician bridges the gap between system failure and functional relief through sheer technical persistence. By 2002, Geisler reached the rank of Master Sergeant, transitioning from a field technician to a high-level manager at McGuire Air Force Base. He was eventually responsible for a portfolio worth over $4 million, managing the wireless infrastructure for the entire base, along with major maintenance and cellular service contracts. As military hardware becomes increasingly complex, the effectiveness of the network is determined less by the equipment itself and more by the human ingenuity required to keep it running.